They said I was temporary. That exact word. Temporary. Not stepfather. Not provider. Not anything that suggested permanence. Just something passing through. A train in the night. A coat left on the wrong hook. Zach said it first. 17 and armed with arrogance. Slouched on the couch I assembled with my own hands. Haley echoed him a second later, for years younger, but just as polished in cruelty. You're just temporary, Zach muttered, not even looking at me. His eyes stayed locked on the TV, where some YouTuber screamed into a camera. Real family is me and Mom. Haley giggled. Yeah, like it's kinda obvious. That was dinner. That's what passed for a family meal in our house. Takeout containers half spilled, a show playing too loud, and me, seated across the table, trying not to clench my fists while I swallowed forkfuls of cold pad thai. Kendra didn't flinch. She sipped her wine and let the comment hang in the air like a mildew smell no one wants to name. No correction. No scolding. Not even a glance in my direction. Just that soft sigh she does. The one that sounds like traffic's bad or her neck stiff. I looked at her. Really looked. Waiting for something. A flicker of defense. A word. A raised eyebrow. But silence was her language. Always had been. It was the same silence I heard that first night Zach slammed his bedroom door so hard it cracked the drywall. The same silence when Haley called Oliver just your real kid. Like he was an infection she had to share a hallway with. The same silence when Kendra's ex forgot another child support payment, and I covered it again without thanks. My name is Tom. I'm 41. I live in a split-level home outside Seattle. The kind with fog on the driveway in the morning, deer that sneak across the backyard at dusk, and neighbors who wave without ever asking how things really are. I married Kendra 3 years ago. She had 2 children from her first marriage, Zach and Haley. I had one from mine, Oliver. He's 9, soft-spoken, empathetic, always asking if someone needs help. He doesn't belong in this house. Not anymore. When I first moved in, I knew I was walking into a complicated structure. Blended families don't come pre-assembled. I expected friction, some resistance. What I didn't expect was to be labeled second tier from day one. The house technically belonged to Kendra. She got it in the divorce. But everything inside it, everything that kept it warm, powered, fed, and functioning, came from me. I paid the mortgage. I paid the utilities, the Wi-Fi, the insurance. I paid the car notes. I paid the braces, the phones, the streaming subscriptions. I paid for everything while Kendra worked part-time from home and her ex sent child support like it was a seasonal postcard, irregular and always late. I paid. They took. And still I stayed. For a while, I told myself that this was just the awkward phase. That if I kept showing up, if I stayed consistent, they'd eventually soften. But time doesn't heal wounds when no one admits there was a cut. Zach used my car more than I did. Never filled the tank. Left fast food wrappers in the back seat like markers of conquest. Haley used my credit card like it was a faucet. Amazon, Sephora, Uber Eats, the transactions stacked up until the fraud alert stopped bothering. Once, I tried to set limits. I said no to a $240 shoe order. Told Haley we needed to talk about budgets. Her response? Mom always defends us anyway. And she was right. Kendra came in, leaned against the kitchen counter, arms folded like a mediator, and said, "Maybe we can talk about this later? She's just a kid." The shoes, Tom. That was the moment I realized what I was up against. I wasn't a father figure. I wasn't a partner. I was a resource, a bank account with a pulse. I watched my authority erode in slow motion. Every time I spoke up, they looked to her. Not me, her. If I asked them to take out the trash, they ignored me until she repeated it. If I mentioned curfews, they waited to see if Kendra agreed. And she always did, but in her voice, their native tongue. She became the translator. I was the static. And static doesn't command respect. It gets tuned out. They didn't say thank you when I picked up Zach's new textbooks. They didn't say please when Haley asked for rides to her friend's house. They didn't say sorry when they left the house trashed after a weekend of friends over. Just glanced at me like I was the janitor who showed up late. One night, I came home after a 12-hour shift, a job I picked up just to cover Oliver's school trip and Zach's camp deposit, and found the living room littered with soda cans, pizza crusts, and muddy shoes on the white rug. Haley looked up from her phone and said, "You're grumpy again. You should try meditating." Zach didn't even acknowledge me. And Kendra? She was upstairs, lights off, scrolling Instagram in bed. I stood there in that room, the smell of grease and old sneakers sinking into the furniture, and I felt something crack inside me. It was small, hairline, but cracks widen. We tried counseling once. That's what everyone recommends, right? Kendra, the kids are struggling with the change. Tom, maybe give them more space. Try bonding. Bonding? With Zach, who once told Oliver to go back to his loser dad's house. With Haley, who said she didn't want a new man pretending he owns us. I had stopped pretending a long time ago. I wasn't trying to own anyone. I was just trying to be seen. But in this house, I wasn't Tom. I was him. I was Mom's husband. I was not Dad. And in their minds, that meant I had no claim. No voice. No seat at the table unless they were done talking. Oliver saw it before I did. He'd sit quietly during dinner, eyes low, shoulders tense. I started to notice how he'd clean his plate and excuse himself early, even when he liked the meal. He'd come to me at night, after everyone else had gone to sleep, and whisper questions he was afraid to ask in daylight. Do they hate me? Did I do something wrong? Why does Haley say we're not really family? And I had no answer, because I was asking myself the same things. One morning, I found a drawing Oliver had made. He'd labeled it Our Family. It was just the two of us, me and him, holding hands, standing outside a tiny house with a mailbox that said, O+T. Kendra wasn't in it. Neither were Zach or Haley. That was the first time I understood how deep the fracture went. Not just between me and the kids, between the illusion and the truth. We weren't a family. We were a contract, a negotiation gone stale. And when they said I was temporary, I realized something else. They weren't warning me. They were wishing it. It was Saturday. Just a Saturday, nothing more. Nothing special. But the day broke something in me. Quietly, permanently. Oliver and I had planned a board game night. He'd picked out Ticket to Ride, his favorite. Said he liked building the trains, imagining where they'd go. Said it made him feel like we could go somewhere too. Somewhere far. Somewhere quiet. I ordered pizza, let him choose the toppings even though I hate olives. He made root beer floats, spilled some on the counter and cleaned it up without being told. We laughed, just the two of us, in that sliver of space the others hadn't invaded yet, the living room before nightfall. Then Haley came in, with her friends, 3 of them, laughter already bubbling at the corners of their mouths. They saw Oliver sitting on the rug with his tiny trains, his little plastic tokens lined up carefully along the board. They didn't pause. They didn't lower their voices. Is he seriously playing with toys? One of them said. Oh my God. Another chimed. That's like toddler stuff. Haley pointed her phone at him. Smile, Ollie. Show everyone your big night in. Zach appeared a second later. He didn't say a word, just pulled out his phone and hit record. Oliver looked up, confused, then humiliated, as Zach filmed him in silence. No warning, no context, just a video of a child being a child held up for mockery. A minute later, I heard the ding. Zach's phone lit up. A TikTok notification. The caption, another loser night in the house. I stood up, walked over, held out my hand. Give me the phone, I said. My voice didn't shake. It didn't rise. Zach smirked. Why? Gonna ground me, Tom? I didn't respond, just kept my palm out. Eventually, he rolled his eyes and handed it over like I was asking for a pen. I opened the app, found the video, deleted it. Then I scrolled through his feed. It wasn't the first time. There were others. Subtle digs. Clips of Oliver eating, looking down. Recordings of me fixing the garage door, dubbed over with laugh tracks. A video of Kendra and I talking in the kitchen. Captioned, Stepdad thinks he's in charge, face with tears of joy. I handed the phone back. No yelling. No threats. No lectures. Just a moment of stillness. But something inside me, something crucial, went quiet and didn't come back. That night, while the house slept, I took inventory. I opened my laptop, looked at our accounts. I saw the autopay settings, mortgage, utilities, Netflix, Spotify, Prime, Wi-Fi, grocery deliveries. I saw the family card, the one Haley used to order bubble tea and makeup, the one Zach used to Uber to parties and charge gas he never replaced. I saw my name, everywhere, holding it all together. And I thought, what if I just didn't? Not out of revenge. Not anger. Just absence. What if I gave them the life they said they had without me? So I moved in silence. First, I changed the passwords. Netflix, Spotify, Hulu, Wi-Fi, Amazon. Every app that gave them comfort, gone. Locked. Then I froze the card. Cancelled the grocery subscriptions. Removed my account from Instacart and DoorDash. Stopped the automatic deposits into Kendra's shared fund. I took the garage keys and made new copies. Moved my tools into a locked cabinet in the basement. Took back my charger, my laptop, my headphones. Bought a small safe and stored my documents. Oliver's birth certificate. The only photos of my first marriage I had left. By morning, the house felt lighter, emptier, but not in a sad way. Like a curtain had been pulled back, and the draft was finally reaching them. They woke to no internet, no working TV, no Spotify for their morning routine. Zach couldn't Uber. Haley couldn't order lunch. The fridge was mostly bare, just condiments and old leftovers. Panic bloomed slowly. First Haley called from the hallway, "Mom, the Wi-Fi's out again." Then Zach stomped downstairs. "Tom, did you change the Netflix password?" I sat at the table with a black coffee, scrolling the news on my phone. Didn't look up. Didn't speak. "Tom," Zach repeated louder. "The Wi-Fi's not working." I turned the page. "Mom," Haley shouted. "Did you forget to pay the internet again?" Kendra came out in a robe, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "What's going on?" I met her gaze. Finally spoke. "It's working for me." She looked at me, really looked, and something shifted, a flicker of awareness, maybe fear. "I didn't leave," I said quietly. "I'm just not participating anymore." The next few days were like watching a slow-motion car crash. Zach stormed out with a duffel bag on Wednesday. Said he was crashing at Caleb's house because no Wi-Fi means unlivable. Didn't say goodbye. Haley started skipping meals. Not because there was no food, but because I stopped buying what they liked. Dry cereal. No milk. Ramen packets, untouched. The fridge stayed mostly empty, except for what Oliver and I needed. Turkey slices. Juice. Apples. Things that didn't ask questions. Kendra confronted me on Friday. "I think you've made your point," she said, trying to sound calm. "I'm not making a point," I said. "I'm showing you what life looks like without what I give." She blinked, said nothing. Later that night, Oliver came to me in tears. Haley had told him casually, as if it were weather, "You and your dad are just temporary. You'll be gone soon anyway." He asked me if it was true. I didn't lie. "I don't know yet," I said. "But we won't stay where we're not wanted." He nodded. Just nodded. 9 years old and already understanding exile. I went to Kendra one last time. Sat on the edge of the bed where we used to dream together. Asked if she knew what Haley had said. She sighed. That same sigh, 1,000 pounds of nothing. "They're adjusting," she muttered. "It's complicated." 3 years. 3 years of birthdays. 3 years of covering for her ex. 3 years of mediating, sacrificing, deferring. And still adjusting? No, this wasn't transition. It was choice. They had decided. And so would I. I packed quietly. 2 duffels. One for me. One for Oliver. No goodbye. No note. Just space, reclaimed. We left on a Sunday. Nobody followed. I didn't leave a mess. Didn't leave a hole in the drywall or a slam in the hallway or a lecture scribbled on a whiteboard. I just left. 2 bags. Quiet car ride. Oliver holding a stuffed dinosaur under his arm, like a soldier clinging to the last flag of a fallen kingdom. We moved into a small apartment on the edge of town. 2 bedrooms, thin walls, stained carpet that smelled like past tenants and rain. But it had heat and locks that worked and silence, that rare golden kind. I bought Oliver a desk. Cheap pine, but he didn't care. We built it together. Screws, washers, and all. I let him strip one on purpose, just so he'd know it didn't have to be perfect to be ours. I bought him a lamp shaped like Saturn. Every night, he turns it on before bed. The rings glow soft blue, and it casts shadows on the ceiling like galaxies waiting to be named. We fell into rhythm. Tuesday was pasta night. Friday was movies, real ones, no streaming. Just borrowed DVDs and a second-hand player I found at a pawn shop. Sunday, pizza. Always. There was peace, even in the echo of our absence. For the first time in years, I didn't have to explain myself. Didn't have to wait for someone to translate my voice into acceptable language. Didn't have to watch Oliver shrink under the weight of someone else's house. We were small, but we were free. A week passed. Then Kendra called. I didn't answer. She texted, "We need to talk." I still didn't respond. By the second week, she showed up at the apartment. I watched her from the kitchen window. She stood outside our door like someone selling apologies she couldn't afford to give. I opened it halfway, her face tired, hair unbrushed, eyes sunken, like she hadn't slept since I left. Not the polished version of herself she always maintained. This was raw, ragged. "I miss you," she said. "We miss you." I didn't invite her in. She stepped closer. "The kids, they're struggling." I raised an eyebrow. Not sarcastic, just curious. "Zach came home after 2 days," she continued. "His friend's house wasn't what he thought. No food, no privacy. He asked when the Wi-Fi would be back." I said nothing. "Haley's been skipping school. Her grades are dropping. She won't talk to me." Still, I stood there. "Kendra," I said finally, "are you here because you want us back? Or because the structure collapsed without me?" Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked away. I nodded. "Thought so. I didn't know," she whispered. "Yes, you did," I replied. "You just didn't care until the consequences landed in your lap." She stepped back. "That's not fair." Neither was giving everything and being told I was nothing. Silence stretched. "I'm not angry," I added. "Not anymore. I'm just done." She left after that. No fight, no tears. Just the slow, reluctant walk of someone who realizes the gravity has changed and the old rules no longer apply. The calls continued. First once a day, then once a week, then only when something broke. "Do you have the password to the streaming account? The heater's not working. Do you know the technician's number? Zach's financial aid got delayed. Do you still have the tuition invoice?" I stopped replying, because I wasn't being called as a father. I was being summoned as a utility. They missed the service, not the man. Meanwhile, Oliver adjusted. Not quickly, but honestly. He asked hard questions. "Will I see Haley again? Why didn't she like me? Was I not good enough for them?" Each time, I pulled him into my arms and gave the only answer that mattered. "You were too good." He didn't cry much. Not anymore. But sometimes, late at night, I'd hear him whisper to the stuffed dinosaur, "I like it better now. It's quiet. And Dad's not sad anymore." That sentence, it broke me, because it was true. I had been sad. For 3 years. Sad and buried under duty. Carrying the weight of a family that never wanted me in the photo. I thought I was giving them a future, but I was just building a house they planned to sell with me still inside it. The house had always been theirs. I was just renting space in their hierarchy, never truly invited. When I left, I didn't burn bridges. I just stopped holding them up. A month after we moved, Kendra sent one final message. It wasn't a plea. It wasn't even angry. It was desperate. "We can't manage without you. Please come back." I stared at it for a long time. Read it over and over. Not for the words, but for what was missing. Not "we miss you." Not "we were wrong." Not "I should have stood up for you." Just "we can't manage." Translation: our world broke. Can you rebuild it? No, because they managed just fine without respect. Now they can manage without support. That's the lesson, isn't it? You can't build a family on borrowed loyalty. You can't graft yourself into a bloodline that cuts you out at every turn. You can't keep feeding a machine that runs on your silence and your suffering and expects you to thank it for the privilege. I wasn't their father, but I tried to be something close, until they made it clear that proximity meant nothing. So I became a stranger, not out of bitterness, but to prove a point. If you want a man's effort, you owe him his name. If you want a man's sacrifice, you owe him your protection. And if you can't offer either, then when he's gone, stay gone. Because that's the bill coming due. And I paid enough. We live small now. Not broken. Not less. Just small. Deliberate. 2 bedrooms. 1 bathroom. A kitchen that forces us to bump shoulders when we cook. And somehow, that closeness feels more like family than anything we ever had in that larger house. I'm not the head of a big home anymore. No longer chief of the invisible, unthanked labor. Now I'm head of a small world built on respect, not obligation. Oliver smiles more. He hums when he brushes his teeth. He thanks me when I make pancakes, even when I burn them. He asks how my day was, and not out of guilt, out of instinct. He's learning every day what it means to be seen, to be loved not for being perfect, but for being present. Kendra called once more. She asked for a second chance. Said things were different now. Zach apologized through her. Haley missed Oliver. They'd grown up a little, but all I heard was need. All I felt was that old draft, creeping in under the door again. I told her this. You managed without respect. Now manage without support. She cried. She begged. She reminded me of holidays, photos, the good times. But I remembered the silences. The way she stood still while I was being erased. The way she told me, with every shrug and sigh, that her comfort was worth more than my dignity. The way she let her children believe love came without consequence. I hung up, and this time I didn't feel loss. I felt freedom. It's been 2 months. We have a new routine now. Oliver wakes up early and reads at the window. We make breakfast together, then walk to school. Just a few blocks. I work during the day, and I come home not to chaos, but to quiet. He meets me at the door, still in socks, still messy-haired. Sometimes we don't talk much. Sometimes we talk about everything. He asks me if I'm happy now, and I don't lie. Yes, I say, because I'm not trying to be someone else's version of enough. I used to think sacrifice was noble, that if I gave enough, I'd earn a place. That love was a math problem, effort plus time equals belonging. But that's the lie. Love without respect isn't love. It's labor, the servitude, the slow erosion. And I was disappearing 1 dinner at a time. Now I am seen, by the only one who ever mattered. And that's enough. So I'll ask you this, the one still listening, still judging. Was I wrong to walk away? Was I cruel to let the silence answer them? Or did I finally give myself the dignity no one else would? Would you have endured it? Or would you have done the same? Tell me. I'm listening.